Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the Tobifusika podcast. I am your host, Tobifusika, and I'm glad to have you back on our second episode in season 2. I'm so excited for our guest today, and I'll leave him to introduce himself, to say his name, just his name. Okay, so go on, introduce yourself. What's your name?
Okay, my name is Bimbo Ajayi.
Okay, and so nice to have you, Bimbo. And
Thank you.
you might be wondering, okay, who is he? What's he doing here? Why is he in the studio? So, Khaled, Bimbo gave me my one of the first books I read as a teenager.
I shall not pay returns.
You
You have not paid returns.
know that I've not paid returns, but it's very interesting because, okay, I wasn't the first book I read as a teenager. I mean, my mom got me a lot of books growing up, but you know when a youth now gives you like a book, like an assignment, go and read this book, you start to feel a sort of responsibility that this uncle gave me books to read, let me go and read it. So okay, what's this? I don't want to make you feel good. It's not that he was not an uncle then, but yeah, he was just like, let me go and read this book, and I feel like when it comes to personal development, your life is just one your life is just one that has just been like, I've just seen you constantly evolve, like change and grow, and it's amazing what personal development can actually do in the life of somebody if they actually decide to like pay attention to it. So my first question will be, what would you say has been the impact of reading on your life? Like generally, just reading books.
Okay. For me, I don't know how I got into reading. I think as a teenager, I just got fascinated by books. So I think I started with my dad's book. He used to have some novels. I'll read some of them, then I'll borrow some people to return it and stuff. Then I think my brother also had an influence. He's a voracious reader, but his kind of books are different from the kind of books I definitely. So starting from there, then I began to gravitate towards the books that decided to catch my eye. So then I began reading personal development books, motivational books, and stuff like that. And so I started as basically as a teenager, and along the way, at some point in my life, I'm like, these books, what are they used? But in the last 4 or 5 years, I've returned back to my base to really begin to see the meaning and the impact of those books. And books have been like they're part of my journey, truly.
Okay, because why I ask that question is because a lot of people now, do you give them a book and they're like, okay, what's in it for me? How can this book actually really change me? How can a book change the outcome of my life? Like what can it actually do? And we're slowly losing the reading culture, which is very sad, really, really sad. But what strategies like what's the word now? When it comes to reading, what strategies do you use to ensure that you actually finish it? Because some people will start, go halfway, keep it down, pick up another one. How do you ensure that you actually read a book from start? Or do you even read books from start to finish? Let's even go there.
Yes, I do read books from start to finish, but you don't necessarily have to finish books. The most important thing about books is that they impact your life, that you draw lessons, that you draw wisdom, and you draw stuff from the books. So if you've drawn critical things at chapter 5, you don't have to finish it. You always have the book, and you can always go back to them. But finishing the book is just developing the discipline that you need to be a finisher. Because there are people that don't finish books, not because the book is not beneficial to them, but because they've not developed the discipline of being a finisher. Yeah, so developing the discipline of being a finisher is a very key discipline, because not only will it help you with regards to reading books, it will also help you in other parts of your life. So that discipline is there. But when you have developed that discipline, then you don't need to constrain yourself to finish every book, towards you make sure that you glean or you get something. But basically, when it comes to reading is something that for you to develop the habit, you need to develop the habit. Once you develop the habit, it almost becomes like auto-run. Because, for example, for me, I'm almost always with a book. I have people, like there's someone I know who says he's always with 4 books.
Wow.
I was listening to Oyedepo today, and he says when he travels with a bag of books. So it shows you different levels. So, but basically, when you said you're going to read every day, if it's 30 minutes, 1 hour, that goes a long way.
Be yourself enough to read as much as you can
Yeah, then there are always lazy times when you're waiting for somebody, when you're eating, when you're in the restroom. There are a lot of lazy time that you can fill up,
Take advantage.
especially if you're a very busy person.
So drop your phone, pick up the book. Very important. So for you, what would you say? How has reading affected your mind? When would you say that you started to actually like see changes? Like, how did you take what was inside the book, and then when did you start to when could you start applying what you read to your life? Like, what did that do for your mind? How did that affect your life? How, like, what exactly happened basically?
Okay, so I know that I have a curious mind. So right from when I was younger, I usually would ask a lot of questions in my mind. I wouldn't ask anybody, but it would just be in my mind. Questions like I used to ask, well, why were we this broke? Why were we poor? I remember those times when I was younger, I would eat and I would not be full, and I'd ask my mom for more food, and she would like drink water. I'm like, I'm not full. I need. So all those things, all those curiosities. Then especially with this part of the world, I was curious about a lot of things, about politics, about why we're this backward, why are we a third world nation, and a lot of all those things. So all those things drove me to seek knowledge or wisdom in that direction. So in finding answers to that, I turned to books. And yeah, so when you mentioned how have books impacted my life, um, I know I read Rich Dad Poor Dad when I was a teenager, probably when I was 17. And for me, in terms of financial intelligence, that has been one of the most significantly impactful books because he gave me a change of mind, a change of perspective that I've now carried on ever from there. So definitely books affect your mind, it gives you a change of mind, a change of perspective. So books help you see from different lenses. And when you see from a different lens, you'll be able to experience something different.
Yeah, I think that's very true because when I was in university, I used to read a lot of books. Oh my god. I feel like I milked those years. Even I read a lot of leadership books. I think now that I've grown, I've led wisely for over 8 years. People always ask me questions, and it somehow felt like those things were natural for me. So I know someone who also has like her own community, and she's always fascinated. How do you do this? And I tell her, the people that you work with you are human beings. Sometimes you need to talk to them as human beings. Enter their DM and ask what's happening with you, what's going on. Because she always was acting professional, you know. She said she reached out to me once and said, do you know we had a meeting today? And I was vulnerable and I shared what was going on with me. And she told me that that meeting lasted 2 hours. Nobody wanted to leave. Everybody started sharing. Everybody started talking about what's going on with them. And later on, she assigned work. And it was like, I said, no, you see that the people that you work with are human beings. They are not robots. Every time you call to IDM and say, I gave this person this to do, they did not do it. What happened? And I'm like, have you gone to ask them what's happening with them? How are you? What is going on with you? Until recently, because I reread a John Maxwell book,
Okay.
I realized that all those things were things I read earlier before I even had any group or community work.
So they become like second nature.
And so I learned how to relate better with people because of the things that I read. I knew how to manage a lot of soft skills, manage people, manage relationships.
Sure.
Do you get a lot of things that I read? And then it didn't make a lot of sense because I was just reading. And making notes. Okay, maybe one day when I have something. But now I'm actually seeing the pieces like actually come together.
Puzzle.
And it's just very interesting and fascinating because people think that how do you read? How does what I'm reading affect my life?
Sure.
But as you said, whatever you read, it doesn't always have translated now. It can be stored away for like future purpose.
Sure.
So I'm a very big believer in the fact that reading actually expands your mind and you actually learn from different people at the same time. It's very interesting. Okay. So personal questions for now. I'll ask you a very interesting question.
Okay.
Can you throw back to a memory or an experience you had that would say shaped or changed your life? Something profound that happened that made you become this person that wanted more for yourself or more in life than just being a casual. I don't know. I call some kind of living casual living. Where you just want to go to school, have a job, get married, die, have kids, do all this stuff. But what made your perspective of life change? What happened that changed your perspective to life?
Okay, I'll say what has changed my perspective to life most drastically in recent times date back to I think around 2020. So I've been listening. I was listening to my pastor's message for a while. So usually I was just hungry. There was a spiritual growth or a growth that I was hungry for. I remember many times when I'll be coming back from work, I would just feel like there's more that I could do in my life. But I was gainfully employed. I'm working with a good organization. I have a car. I'm looking forward to getting married. I'm making usual progress. I compare myself with many of my peers, and I'm not doing too badly. But you just feel you just feel the urge or the emptiness or there's just a groaning on your inside that speaks for more. So in that, I went in search for message, and I stumbled on Miles Monroe's messages, and I started listening to him every day. Like every day I'll be driving to work, I'll just put in one message, and maybe an hour. So I'll drive for about 30 minutes to get to work. I'll go into work earlier than usual.
Okay.
So then I'll listen to the message, and every day I'll just listen to a Miles Monroe message. And I did not imagine the transformation that was going on. But after doing that for a couple of months, maybe like 6 months, I just saw that it was just a radical departure. The mentality that I was getting from this message were just transformed. It was like a chemical reaction, and it was just on. And for me, in the last 5 years, that it has just been a sporadic reaction from one to another, open my eyes to one to another, and I've just been on the journey in that last. So I would say from that moment when I started listening to Miles Monroe, it definitely
he's a legend.
No. He definitely did, because for me, what he also did was he answered a lot of the questions that I always had that I did not have answers to. Questions like, what's wrong with being black? Are we inferior as black people? And why are we poor? And all those kind of things. So just bringing perspective.
What do I need to do to get my life from here to here?
Yes, just bringing perspective to the reason why this is this, and he just clarifies a lot of things. For example, one of the things he mentioned or he says is the fact that when people are delivered from slavery, like when the Israelites were delivered from Egypt, going to the promised land, so you're delivered from Egypt, but Egypt is not delivered from you. So God takes you through the wilderness to purge you of Egypt before he allows you to enter the promised land. So when you're in that state where Egypt has not been purged from you, you make poor decisions, you blame, you don't take responsibilities, you complain, you don't have faith. Like there's just several
It's like you left somewhere, but the thing has not left. You've not left the place.
So until that transformation happens within the wilderness, you're not ready for your promised land. So when that now happens, so that's the difference between, for example, a third world nation and a first world nation. Because
innovation is happening, but we're still very...
A third world nation, you're free from your colonial masters, but the systems and the mentality that they handed over to you are still ruling and governing you. So you continue to self-sabotage and produce bad results. So until you purge yourself of those and now embrace before you can now begin to produce results that will ultimately transform you.
And that actually makes a lot of sense, because I feel like our mindset is one of the things, limiting beliefs, and our mindset is one of the things that control the way we live life. That's why when you tell someone to probably read or probably listen to messages or apply themselves to personal growth, they don't realize that the solution to their problem is not probably maybe finishing school, getting a good job, or making money, or getting married to a rich man, as the case may be. But something about the mindset, because even if you put a person, same issue we have now in Nigeria, where a lot of people are leaving Nigeria, going abroad.
But with the same
mentality. Nothing has really changed on your inside. Like your mindset, what do you think about yourself? What do you think about, like, I tell people jokingly that even if I was a pepper seller, you're gonna buy a pepper, because I will not just be sitting by the road and selling pepper. Like, there's going to be so much thought into what it is that I'm doing, that I'm going to do it differently. So, can you speak briefly on how our mindset, especially as young people, is a limiting belief for most of us, and how if that change doesn't occur, personal growth and development can happen. We can't evolve or become better versions of ourselves.
Okay, so the Bible says that you can't put new wine into old wineskin. And it's not because you don't want to put new wine into old wineskin. It's because an old wineskin has become worn out due to use and the length of, how do I put it, of use. So when you pour new wine into it, new wine is sharp, it's strong, it just bursts.
Wow.
So in the same vein, old mindsets cannot retain the capacity of what you need to do or where you want to go. So you need to update, just like a phone, you need to update the iOS to the mindset that corresponds to where you want to be. And it's just simple for you to understand. If a mindset has not done you any good, has not produced the results you want, you might want to change it. So if it's producing for you, then fine, you might want to hold on to it. If it works, if it's a working mindset, if it works, then there will be no need to change it. But if it's obvious that it's not working, then
Something has to be done about
it has to be changed. It's just basically, and your mindset is like a lead, is like a cap. You can really not go above because everything happens twice in life. First in your mind before in reality. So, like they say, the mind is like a magnet. So when you receive a thought, for example, if I say you receive 1 billion naira in the next 1 month, sometimes you might not be able to receive that thought because one, your mind has never conceived 1 billion naira. So that's like an error in your mind. So until you expand your mind to be able to accommodate that kind of reality, it might not happen in your life. So you must constantly and consistently work on your mind. For example, that's just the difference between, for example, maybe a billionaire and a non-billionaire. The billionaire already has it, like he has expanded his mind to that point. Well, whereas someone else has not expanded his mind. You understand? So, and it's just what it is. The mind rules. Your control, your realities are determined by your mindset.
Amazing. I like that you said that we can't go beyond what it is we think of in our mind.
Yeah.
And it's just like a cap that has been placed.
It's a lead.
And okay, so I want you to also speak about personal, so internal growth. Let me reword it as internal growth. Okay. Some people feel like, okay, if I go to school, finish with a degree, end this job, start working at this job, earn X amount of money, maybe I'm in a certain social class, that's going to give me the life it is that I want. But I like that you shared that there's a point you get to where you're dissatisfied. Every box seems to be ticked, but there's still something in it. Now, someone reached out to me today and she said that how can she impact 10 people by so time? And then I was speaking to her and I was saying the goal for you now is not that I want to impact people by this time. The goal now is how to work on yourself, to be a person of value and naturally attract those kind of people. A lot of people in our climb pay very little attention to internal growth, change of mindset, change of mentality, thoughts and limiting belief, I don't know what to call it now. Put yourself on that journey of progress and development to ensure that you are better on the inside. We pay so much attention to the externalities, not knowing that even if you put this person that you are with your limiting beliefs in a situation where people think is small or people think can never progress, because you have a better mindset, you're going to grow there. Yeah. You're going to obviously evolve there. But we put so much effort into, bettering ourselves, improving on ourselves. We downplay on those things. You mentioned reading books. You've mentioned listening to messages. How does our environment play a role in the person that we are? How does the environment play a role in becoming better persons?
Okay, so environment is key. It's just like a culture. It's just like a plant, for example. If you have a plant in a dark room without light, it's definitely going to die. If you plant it in an area with limited light access, it will grow for a while, but it will malfunction. Yeah. But if you plant it in where it flourishes with light, it's going to definitely grow. So it's just like a plant. The nutrients that you have access to determine how you flourish and how you blossom. So ultimately, in a lot of climes or in a lot of places, you have negative environment.
Yeah.
Do you understand? So you need to be deliberate about cultivating an internal environment that enables you to grow and flourish. So that's the bane of having the right friends, reading the right books, listening to the right materials, because you are not better than your environment. Whatever environment you've allowed into your space will determine how you blossom. Either you blossom or that you wither and die. It's just there's an experiment that's even conducted that even says, okay, so if you put two plants, for example, and you speak wrong words to one plant and you speak positive words to another plant, just the words, for example, the plant you speak wrong words to will die, while the other one will blossom.
So what should people you let people speak over you?
Yeah. So environment is very key. Cultivating your own internal environment is super, super key. It cannot be even emphasized.
Okay, so let's switch to finance now.
Okay.
I've seen you personally advocate that every young person needs to learn about finance, because we're not taught these things in school, which is back to what I'm saying. You get a good job, you earn some amount of money, but if we're not able to manage our finance, are we ever going to get to the place we're supposed to be? Because now Nigeria is happening, and then maybe salary is here, or what you make as an entrepreneur is here, bills are like here, and it's almost as if there's no space to even make anything, save anything, invest anything. What do you think young people need to learn about finance?
Okay, so finance is a key, is very key because it's central to our lives. You cannot exist without finance. If you go to the markets, you must exchange money, you must exchange finance for whatever good or service. And you need those goods to stay alive. You need, for example, if you're going to get food, you need to exchange money to get food. And you need money to exchange to get that food. So since finance is central to our lives, we cannot ignore it. We cannot downplay it or push it aside, as it's the germane core area that we must always look in. And like you said, many of us have gone through schools or we're going through schools, and unfortunately, they don't teach us about finance in school. And so the ultimate aim for which you go to school is to get a job. And when you get a job, most times, okay, for the job satisfaction and also for the money you're being paid. But unfortunately, we don't learn about money. So if you're going to spend 8 hours, 40 hours a week working for money, you might as well learn about money. Yeah, so that's where finance is very key. And so since you don't get to learn about it in school, you need to outsource that financial education to yourself and begin to learn about it by yourself. And an easy way is to start with books, then find mentors. So like one of my mentors will usually say, it says that you should have read the number of books that you have for your age. For example, if you're 30, you should have read 30 books on finance for you to look back.
On finance.
Yes.
Okay.
If you're 35, you should have read 35 books. The idea basically is just to immerse you in a robust body of knowledge about finance so that you have no other choice than to do well.
I think it's literally very true, because right now a lot of people need to. I mean, as you said, we make money, but we don't know how to manage money.
Then another thing, let me just even chip in with the realities we have. For example, in Nigeria, we are the loss of value in our currency is a loss of value for a lot of us in unimaginable. So, for example, if you were earning equivalent of $1,200 like 5 years ago, which was 2019, that money is now worth maybe less than $200 a job. So when you would have been doing well, because $1,200 can take care of a few things for you now, then, but now when your salary, because you're earning in naira, has devalued to like $300 or $200, you cannot even take care of what's basic. So and we are always in that devaluation or loss of value kind of situation. You must be adding more value than the devaluation in your environment. It's just
So that's putting us in a place where you have to be doing more.
you must. It's not even an option.
Option.
If not, you will be wiped away with the erosion of value.
It's sad. But as we said earlier, read what you can from books, get all the knowledge that you can, listen to messages, put yourself in an environment where you can grow and thrive, and constantly be in school. I think it was Ikuna Oshika that I had in 2016 that said constantly be in school. So every year I try to figure out, okay, what course am I taking? What am I learning? What am I learning about this year? Even if it's cooking class, makeup class, just make sure you're constantly learning something, because I mean the world is changing.
Sure.
I recently took a course in digital currency and blockchain technology, and I thought I was going to not understand anything. But I was surprised I could actually keep up and I understood some of the technologies, and I'm shocked at how much the world is evolving to the point where everything is slowly becoming smart. And it's like, okay, we're getting somewhere. So really, I hope that we listening to this episode, we learn about the importance of growth and development, how it's important that we evolve and we constantly don't just remain dormant and, just in that place where you want to enjoy life. I mean, inflation is happening not just in Nigeria, in different countries of the world.
Sure.
Things like everybody's looking for how to earn extra money now. And so you need to keep on upskilling and bettering yourself.
Definitely.
So with that, we've come to the end of today's episode. I hope that it's been enlightening. I hope you learned one thing or two. Feel free to reach out to Bimbo. I'll put a link here to reach out to him by social media or myself. Send a DM. Feel free to ask questions. See you in our next episode and have a lovely day. Bye.